It was inevitable. Humanity, in the course of their excavating the Earth, discovered an underground world. There were many creatures never before seen, as well as creatures born from fossils. Humanity dispatched an exploration team to that new world. You, a curious youngster, board the expedition of your brother in secret, but get stuck down there. Rather than panic, you decide to take advantage of this and investigate. A sequel to July 1998's Kaseki Sousei Reborn, a very late original Game Boy game. On the surface, it doesn't seem that a mere 7 months was nearly enough time to marinate before the follow-up Color game was released, but let's take a look anyway. This is somewhere between a Fushigi no Dungeon clone and a Pokemon-style collect-em-up/battler published by Starfish, who are better known for their fishing games. The short version is you'll enter these individual cave and tunnel networks, work your way to the bottom, defeat the boss, and then return. You get a choice of 3 monsters at the very start of the game, and can get more by combining bits of fossils. The fossils are divided into head, body, and foot parts, and you basically create monsters by mixing them together. The dungeon you explore is ever-changing and randomly generated in a sort of roguelike, procedurally generated way. Unlike something like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon that evolved from the aforementioned Fushigi no Dungeon, the battles actually take place in a turn-based technique manner rather than the swifter style where you just press the direction that the enemy is in. This might be a bit unwieldy at times when you're just trying to get on with your exploration, but it does have a benefit of safety. Usually in these sorts of games you have to be careful not to be snuck up on, but here it doesn't matter if the enemy makes the first move, as you take the lead once the battle starts anyway. As for any other roguelike elements, the basics are kept to a minimum, which makes for a more accessible game. Don't worry that you're going to have to learn what a load of different items do or anything like that. It's fair to say that the overall difficulty is on the low side. Enemies never gang up on you, taking it in turns to battle, and it's quite easy to defeat monsters without taking any damage yourself. If your monsters do lose a lot of health, say from fighting loads of consecutive battles, useful items like escape ropes, that's what I call them in my head, are plentiful, which allow you to return to base. There are no trainer battles, just wild animals. Even the bosses are not tricky, really. Note that you can't catch any of these monsters that you'll see walking around. That's not the deal here. You can only make new monsters by smushing a bunch of fossil pieces together. This ease of difficulty might seem unsatisfying to players who are looking for a challenge, but if you look at this game as more of a casual collecting experience, then it'll make more sense. Not everything needs to be rock hard. Chill out, man. The game doesn't really have the level of charm of something like Pokemon, and I think a lot of it is down to the characters themselves. There are quite a lot of different monsters in-game, but they aren't fantastical enough a lot of the time. A lot of them just look like real-life animals with some weird feature. One of the starters in the first game, for instance, was literally just a cat with a massively enlarged tongue. More imagination was needed to push this game into the realm populated by the likes of Pokemon and Dragon Quest monsters, for instance, where it's quite charming to discover the quirks of new monsters that you meet. After about 3 or 4 here, the excitement is already kind of gone. Furthermore, the only real change between this game and the first one is the storyline, which has had a few tweaks. There are still only 4 dungeons, and the in-game events are basically the same. Yeah, a bit lacking in volume, it's fair to say, but Kaseki Sousei Reborn 2 is easy enough to play, so there's that at least. You might dig it. Sorry.